So this could be a long one, because any of these like 000s, this means that there was a whole, like, the biggest things in the SCP in the SCP world is when they decide that they're ready to go into the next group of 1,000, and every time they do that, they have a big, they do a big like contest, and all of the best writers and all of the regular writers and all of the people who might want to, you know, make a name for themselves in the community all submit. They all do their best, and they put out like the best writing they can muster and the best stories they can muster to try and win the site contest and become the 000 for that one. So like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. This one's 7,000. So these tend to be pretty big deals because that means they won the contest when the contest was happening. So here we go. SCP-7000 Loser. We're starting with an attention. Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority. Priority 1 announcement. A global LK class Twist of Fate probability failure scenario is presently in progress. For the duration of this crisis, any and all requests originating from ETRA personnel are mandatory directives carrying the authority of Overwatch Command. SCP Foundation personnel with undeclared anomalous conditions declaring themselves to an ETRA representative at this time will be granted amnesty from containment, amnesticization, or termination. It is vital to this organization's continued survival that all internal probability vectors be identified and countermeasures developed in a timely manner. It is vital to the continuance of the human race that this organization survive. We hold dominion over paranormalcy, and our law supersedes Murphy's. Dr. Dan Redacted, Director of ETRA. SCP-7000, Containment Class Keter, Secondary Class Inimical. Disruption Class Amida, Risk Class Critical. Special Containment Procedures. All containment efforts. Which all those things mean? That's a good question. So, first of all, Containment Class Keter is a standard containment class. It means... so there's a set number of standard containment classes. From lowest to highest, they are Safe, Euclid, and Keter, in that order. And then there's a bunch of other ones as well, but those are like the 3 standard ones. Basically, what this containment class means is, if I were to take this anomaly, and whether it has a physical form or not, just assume that if I could take this anomaly and I put it in a box, and I put that box in a dresser, what's going to happen, right? If it's a safe containment class, it means that nothing's going to happen. It'll just sit in that box forever. Cool. If it's Euclid, that means we're not really sure what's going to happen, right? It might attempt to escape the box, or it might influence somebody else to come access the box for it, right? And to get out, right? Or it might not. It might just sit there. Usually anything that's like intelligent is at least Euclid class, right? Anything of at least humanoid intelligence is at least Euclid, because we don't know exactly what it'll do. If it decides that it wants to be out of that box, it will try and do something to get out of that box. Keter means that it has some form or something about it that makes it so is that it cannot be held by that box effectively, right? There's some inimitable part of the SCP itself that means that a box means nothing to it, right? Either it's an effect that transcends time and space, so there's no way to contain it like just in a box, or it is so violently destructive that there's no way that a box could ever contain it. Keter basically means that it's very difficult to contain this thing, and that specialized containment procedures need to be made for it. It's not just a matter of like, it's going to sit in a containment cell, right? And now it should be noted that this is not directly related to how dangerous it is. This is just how difficult it is to contain. The best example is if there's a button, like if there's just a regular big red button that when pushed destroys all life and all civilizations everywhere in the multiverse. Obviously that is incredibly dangerous, and you really want to avoid anybody getting their hands on it, but it's just a button. It's not going to get up and walk away. It's not going to teleport. So that is a safe. It's under containment class safe, that button, right? which sounds ridiculous because it's not safe. It's a button that will end all life, but that is considered safe because if you put it in a box and put it in a drawer, nothing's ever going to happen on its own, right? Meanwhile, an apple that has no other anomalous properties except that once every 30 minutes it teleports to a random place on Earth is by definition Keter class, because there's something specific about that apple, the fact that it teleports, that makes it so is that if you put it in a box, you put that box in a you know, if you take that box and you put that box in a closet, it's not going to stop the apple for very long. You need to have specialized containment procedures to go deal with it, right? Keter does not necessarily mean it's dangerous. It just means it's difficult to control. Secondary class inimical. This is something I don't actually know. This is a special, there's a whole bunch of like secondary terms. Otherwise, an inimical threat to humanity. That's not really helpful. It's not what I'm looking for. See, a lot of these things are created by the individual writer, and some of them don't have like inherent means, like the safe Keter thing. Yeah, Keter, safe, Euclid, esoteric classes. Yeah, this is talking about the box. Oh, there's also Thaumiel. If the SCP in question is the box and it's used to contain another SCP, then that's Thaumiel. Yeah, this isn't, I'm not going to actually generate what I'm looking for. So inimical. And then these are disruption class and risk classes. Disruption class is how likely it is that if the SCP were to go, it's a 0 to 5 rating of how, like, if this SCP were just let loose in the world, how likely it is that it's going to be noticed by the regular world, right? You know, if the SCP Foundation did nothing and this anomaly got to just run itself free in the world, how likely is it the world would become aware of it? In this case, it's 5. It's the highest possible level. It will not only will everyone become aware of it, it will probably make significant changes to the world such that nobody could possibly be unaware of it. And then the risk class is like just how dangerous to baseline reality it is. Either it'll kill, either how likely it is to kill things or how likely it is to change the day-to-day operations. Because the whole idea of the SCP Foundation is that they're trying to maintain baseline reality. There is a baseline set of consensus reality rules that they are trying to make sure that nothing that violates those rules goes out there and changes reality in some way, right? So the risk class is either how dangerous it is or how likely it is to screw up things. So that's what this all means. So it is Keter, which means it's very difficult to contain. Not entirely sure what inimical means. I mean, it is just a definition. It's just a word, right? Like it just means like inherent, basically. So it is some kind of just like inherent threat. So it's like baked into the fabric of the universe is what I'm guessing this means. And then disruption class 5 means that it's very likely to be a problem when it gets out, and risk class 5 means that once it is noticed, it will be noticed because it's doing really bad things to the world. That's basically what this all means here. Okay. Special containment procedures. All containment efforts respecting SCP-7000 are under the purview of the Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority. Non-ETRA personnel must refrain from containment activities directly related to the scenario. All Foundation inimical means tending to obstruct or harm. Ah, good to know. I did not know that. I thought it was like in but anyway. So yeah, that basically means it's really bad. All Foundation personnel must consult ETRA ETRA Manual LK4. Don't bet on it. Assessing your task's probabilistic variable intensity before undertaking their daily duties. I am thinking of intrinsic. I am thinking of intrinsic. Thank you. Well spotted. Thank you very much. Tasks with a probability index above 4.9 must not be attempted except under direct instruction from Overwatch Command, ETRA, or supervisory personnel possessing security clearance level 4+. A full manifest of known SCP-7000 effects will be propagated daily on SCIPnet and must, until further notice, be consulted before experiments or operations of any kind are undertaken. SCP-7000-1 is inconsequential and requires no containment. That's a weird line. That's a very weird line. SCP-7000-1 is inconsequential and requires no containment. Usually when you see lines like that, it's because SCP-7000-1 themselves edited that in to try and keep people off their damn trail. Anyway, SCP-7000 is a progressive randomization of probability factors and anomalous fortuity on the planet Earth and potentially beyond. The effect is not total. A comprehensive karmic failure would in quick succession terminate consensus normalcy, the SCP Foundation, and the human race, but is instead piecemeal. Each factor is randomized to a different extent, for a different length of time, and often with a different geographical radius of effect corresponding to no obvious logical pattern. Nevertheless, the cumulative impact of many nonsensical and high-profile outcomes to formerly predictable actions is degrading the veil of secrecy at an alarming rate and jeopardizing containment efforts worldwide. The cause of this disruption is, at present, unknown. SCP-7000-1 is Dr. William Wallace Weddle, a white male, 54 years of age, presently serving as Deputy Chair of Replication Studies at Site-43. His relationship to SCP-7000 is classified as Level 4 Secret. Clearance Level 4+ credentials confirmed. The remainder of this file may only be disseminated with express authority from the Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority or O5 Council on penalty of death. So we have Level 4+ credentials, we have logged into the file, and now have access to more of it. Addendum 7000-1. Phenomenological, there it is, Phenomenological Overview. On the 7th of July, 2022, web crawler I.O. Lorenz reported unusual behavior from random.org, an online number generation service serving as a bellwether for changes in universal probability. Computers can only generate pseudo-random values due to inherent predictability of programming code, so random.org circumvents this by converting natural atmospheric radio noise, achieving true randomness. I.O. Lorenz issues daily requests for 10 random numbers between 1 and 10, 1 in 100, and 1 in 1000 as an early warning sign for probability collapse. The results for 6th of July have been as follows. A fairly random set of numbers. The results for the following day were as follows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 1, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000. Non-random numbers. Meteorological investigation revealed that all atmospheric noise, regardless of weather conditions, now produce non-random numbers in discernible sequence. I.O. Lorenz immediately activated a brute force redirect from random.org's number generator to itself and began generating pseudo-random numbers for public consumption till the anomaly could be identified and contained. The Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority and the Analytics Department were informed, and the latter quickly generated the following list of statistically unlikely events occurring on the same date, testifying to a rapid and widespread ontokinetic event. So, probability is failing. Randomly and throughout the world, bits of what should be random are no longer random. And moreover, this changes their outcome based on those random events. Analytics Department report. Item. Infiltrator belonging to Group of Interest 003 the Chaos Insurgency was captured while engaging in a series of cryptic acts at Area 150. Infiltrator possessed a partial step compilation, an operational overview prepared by the Insurgency's chief operative, the Engineer, from data provided by an enigmatic, stochastic prediction device known as the Engine. Step 22 out of 617 suggested travel between two structures via tarmac path. The infiltrator was interrupted by the sudden onset of a violent storm and was knocked unconscious by a very large hailstorm. Subject was detained and interrogation is underway. As the Engine's master plan and ultimate goal are never made clear to any individual insurgent, it remains possible that this was, in fact, the desired outcome. Sudden and wholesale... Next item. A sudden and wholesale collapse of all extant cryptocurrency markets. None taken. Event fully consistent with long-term probability models. No! No! Ha ha ha! Get shit on, crypto. Get shit on. Oh, that's very funny. That's so funny. What great writing. That's so funny. Next item. SCP-179 expresses obvious confusion, identifying threats in 8 directions corresponding to the cardinal compass points. Although the relationship is purely visual, as 179 is located not on Earth, but in close proximity to the heliosphere. Due to the prohibitive expense of replacing solar probes after a mishap, no attempt has been made to communicate directly with 179 until stable probability restored. Area 08C monitoring remotely. So SCP-179 is it's basically a satellite in orbit, which is able to basically determine threats ahead of time. It's like just a massive decision-making engine, and is anomalously able to determine threats. So it's the data that it uses was apparently randomized to such a degree that it generated unknown threats that are related to its position based on cardinal compass points, but it's not on Earth, so cardinal compass points don't make sense to it. So that none of that makes any sense. So it's basically they've stopped talking to 179 because it's not able to generate useful stuff. Next item. Repeated eruption of the Old Faithful Cone Geyser in Yellowstone National Park every 13 minutes. Deviated from the bimodal pattern of approximately 65 or 91 minutes, which it has followed since at least 1870. Action. Evacuation of the area and implementation of a scientific cordon to disguise parascientific investigation. Item. Unrelated yield curve shifts of multiple low-yield investments by anomalous insurer Gold Baker Rhines Insurance Group. Adjusted book value now in the hundreds of millions of dollars USD. Gold Baker Rhines representatives respond to all inquiries with the following. We would be pleased to discuss these unforeseen by you developments in person should you wish to trigger an early review of your policies at this time. No action taken. Investments crashed the following day, erasing all gains made. GR representatives unresponsible for further inquiries. So an anomalous investment bank suddenly had a bunch of low yield investments suddenly produce billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. But in the next day, all those investments crash and all that gains is gone. The Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority declared a state of emergency on the 8th of July. This would be the day after all this stuff started. The O5 Council granted ETRA amnesty powers over staff with undeclared anomalous conditions to encourage self-identification, as unaccounted for ontokinetic or thaumaturgical factors could theoretically complicate scenario mitigation efforts. Multiple staff members of Site-43 came forward for anomalous classifications over the following week. The last one was Dr. William Wettle, interviewed on the 13th of July, 5 days after the event began. Interview log. They've got you doing interviews now. Something happened to the people persons? Every able-body's got an obligation to help if they can, pal. We're facing an all-hands-on-deck crisis. Are those getting closer together, or is it just me? I swear we had one only last year. Listen, I'm gonna skip the boilerplate and level with you. We're extremely busy. So what with the world? We're extremely busy. What with the world having found a fun and creative new way to end, so don't waste my time. I know you're a time waster and a hypochondriac to boot, so give it to me straight and simple so I can just dismiss it out of hand. What anomalous condition do you think you possess? I'm unlucky. Jesus Christ. No, honest, I'm extremely unlucky. Good things don't happen to me, period. Game-changingly bad things don't happen to me either. I'm just stuck in a cycle where nothing I do turns out right. This is a walking clinic for closeted reality benders. You realize that? I'm a disaster response coordinator. I'm not a therapist. You're not listening. I'm in charge of replication studies, right? I've done replication studies on myself. Listen, what you do in the privacy of your... Fucking listen, all right? Or you know what? Let me just... Weddle reaches into a pocket of his lab coat pocket and produces, in a slow sequence, 3 large pieces of pocket lint, a bottle cap, a lab coat button, a push pin with the point piercing his thumb, and a Canadian quarter. He sucks on his thumb for a moment, then places the quarter on top of it. I'm going to call it in the air. Heads. Coin sticks to a ceiling tile. Dr. Weddle and Dr. Sokolsky examine it for a moment. Who puts gum on a ceiling tile? All right, doesn't matter. Think of a number between 1 and 10. Okay. 10. No. 3. No. 5. No. 1. No. 9. No. 8. No. Come on. 3. You already said 3. 4. No. 2. No. 6. No. 7. No. I mean, yes. Jesus, that was entrancing. All right, let's do it again. Let's not. Do you have any other data? The coin now lands on Dr. Weddle's head. He reaches up to remove it from his hair, but it is stuck as the gum is still attached. He sighs. I got coin flip records going back 20 years. I've never called it correctly. Never? Never. And this, he's gesturing at the coin stuck in his hair. This is my whole life. It has been since I don't know when. Every decision I make is a mistake. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. I've been exposed to so many batshit anomalies that they've stopped bothering with the 1 week E-class quarantine. I've been kidnapped by VKTM so many times I've lost count. I've got no agency. I've got no control. Everybody else moves forward and I stand still because my foot is stuck between the train track boards. I'm a negative possibility sink. Does it affect other people? I think it can. I make my staff run through a few periodic exercises to reset their luck, which seems to protect them from the backwash. I was going to write a paper about it, though I thought I'd have to write it from a containment cell. Yeah, about that. Why are you sharing this now? You could have just kept it secret indefinitely. Folks around here just think you're some sort of clumsy idiot. I thought I had experimental proof you're just a clumsy idiot. Because if this kind of shit is getting worse, random stuff not being random anymore, predictable stuff going haywire, I'm liable to get pasted by a bus the moment I walk out the topside elevator. Buses don't run around here. With my bad luck and our bad luck combined, they might make an exception. Well, wait a second. You said you've been keeping records? Yeah? Any change in the past week? No. Every call goes wrong. Every single one. Every single one? Yeah, why? Silence. There are 136 probabilistic anomalies on record. You just became the 137th. Yay me. So what? Well, for the first time in your miserable life, Willie, you're someone special. Dr. Sokolsky developed a tentative theory to explain the above, rejecting some of Dr. Weddle's conclusions out of hand. He engaged in a short program of informal interviews, primarily with the staff of Site-43, to confirm his suspicions. You're friends with Weddle, right? You gonna tell him if I say yes? No, Harry, I'm not gonna go out of my way to engage Wee Willie Weddle in conversation. Think about it. I mean, yeah, sure, we're friends. And what does that consist of? He follows me around, I make fun of him. He eventually falls over or walk into something, and I help him get up or I call the medics. We kind of got a give and take thing going, where he gives me headaches and I take the piss out of him. I would probably seem like an odd pair. Not really. I mean, you kind of look like him. What? Big head, weird beard, dad glasses, no style. Ah, fuck off. Bet he thinks about that a lot. I mean, I could almost be this guy. How come he's got a better job and more friends and a real human wife instead of... However that sentence ends, I do not want to hear it. Point is, but for the grace of Fortuna, there you go. I prefer to think of it as the grace of having absolutely any grace. I feel bad for him sometimes, but he lives down to his station. He's an ass. You ever think there's something anomalous about his blundering about? Well, 1 or 2 times, maybe. Well, Spill. The Spill is right. At my wedding last month. Oh yeah, the flood. First damn day in decades I wasn't wearing work boots. And the other time? Well, have you talked to his ex-wife? I've never heard of Silly Crab Productions. You will, but we're still finding our knobbly little feet, so to speak. I guess that explains why you hire such a shitty expert. He ever tell you the grades he got at college? They only let him in his PhD program because my father was a donor. Weddle's a bit of a donor too, isn't he, if you get my drift? All right, that was good. You got 5 minutes in my time. Terrific. So yes, we're doing a background check on him. Want to know if there's any skeletons in the closet so the company doesn't get embarrassed when some paparazzo digs up some old tweet. I doubt he uses Twitter. He's all thumbs and everything else, but all pinkies and electronics. Well, that's good. I'll have to remember that one. How about his character? What kind of man was your ex-husband? He was a selfish, worthless piece of shit, Mr. Vasiliev, and I doubt he's improved much since. Wow, not exactly the answer I was hoping for. Care to clarify? When he accidentally dropped my Nikon off Niagara Falls on our honeymoon, I kept my cool. When he face-planted into my father's cake on his 70th birthday, I took it in stride. When I had to get a second job because he'd accidentally showed up to the wrong office for 2 weeks, said he'd never noticed and nobody had even told him and he got fired, I let it slide. But that crash? There was a crash. Look, it's not his fault. The crash wasn't his fault. I was driving mad. I was mad at him, of course. Always mad at him and his stupid puppy dog shat on the rug face and oh so believable bullshit about how he didn't mean to cut the bottoms of my best jeans with our weed trimmer. It just happened. Then our house. What was I? The crash. Yeah, the crash. I was furious with him over some shit. I can't even remember. Till I saw red. Except not where there actually was red. So I T-boned a minivan at speed. I lost my license, I lost my car, I nearly lost my job, and I lost my husband too. The day after I got out of the hospital, he just fucking left. Jeez. Can you imagine blaming somebody for getting hurt? Couldn't handle the least amount of responsibility. I was better off without him. I still am, but I sure as hell don't feel that way at the time. Healthcare might be free in Canada, but down here it can cost you your whole life. I understand. Rest assured, we'll be taking all this into careful consideration in our hiring decisions. Good, because no matter how hard up you guys are for help, you still need someone you can trust, so you'd be better off without him. Next interview. Tell me what you think of Weddle. It's okay, this file is above his clearance level. Wow, that sounds kinda mean? Come on, shit talk your boss, I'm giving you a free pass here. Yeah, I wasn't saying I disapprove. Being mean to the guy is a pretty natural reaction. I never met a more inconsiderate person, you know? I don't know how many times I caught him taking the last drop of coffee and then just leaving without making more. Well, maybe he thinks his time is... Man, I couldn't even get through that sentence. Yeah, no kidding. But no, his excuse is even better. If I made the coffee, you'd probably all get bean poisoning. Bean poisoning? Right, that's so not a thing. If you're gonna be a jerk, own up to it. Be a jerk about being a jerk. Don't just sugarcoat it. Yeah, no point in sweetening jerk coffee. Would you characterize him as unlucky? I'd characterize it as karma. But yeah, for sure. You'd want to ask Bast about that, though. He actually made a whole study of it. Bast? Oh, sorry. Researcher LeBlanc. Next interview. Gabby thinks you've got some kind of scoop on Weddle. Maybe thinks you got the scoop on Weddle. Why are you talking like a 50s newsboy? Did he ever tell you about his luck anomaly? Silence. Listen, he's come clean to Etra for amnesty. I kind of didn't believe that was for real. And he's a lot more cynical than me, so he must have been really freaked out. Does he have a reason to be? I think so. He thinks he's a bad luck magnet. Got rituals to make sure the luck doesn't rub off on anyone else. Yeah, he told me about that. Do you think it's plausible? All I know is he's worried about it. Your girlfriend doesn't think he worries about other people at all. Do you think he has problems with his employees dating? Like, it's only been a month, but he's never mentioned it. Why would he? I mean, he can be a jackass, sure, but I don't think he's cruel. You actually like this guy, don't you? Well, yeah, and I kind of do. He's just stuck in a bad pattern. He's just trying to break out of it. He's not all that bad once you get to know him. Listen, I've known him for 20 years, kid. Maybe you don't know him well enough. He spent that entire time talking himself up, trying to get noticed, trying to outdo everyone around him, and it's never worked out. Now he's just too old to change. Yeah, but I think he has changed. He hasn't been doing any of that for months. If anything, he's avoiding attention, trying to keep under the radar. What if you've been misjudging him for 20 years? Well, what if he's been misjudging himself? What's that supposed to mean? Has his bad luck ever rubbed off on you? How would I even measure that? Well, would you say your luck's been good or bad since you transferred here? I guess it's been pretty good. Yeah, well, your girlfriend seems nice, okay. Replication studies keeps the accident logs. Replication studies keeps the accident logs, right, for the site? Right. Who's logging this week? Well, me, actually. How many accidents have you logged? None as of yet. Haven't you put in those reports? I haven't gotten any reports. I'm just now hearing how that sounds. Yeah, don't beat yourself up about it. Absent trends are the hardest to spot. On the back of these interviews, Dr. Sokolsky, Jesus, I have a hard time with that name. The backs of these interviews, Dr. Sokolsky approached Dr. Dan, redacted, director of ETRA, with an experimental proposal involving SCP-7000 and Dr. Weddle. The probabilistic breakdown continued to progress, with effects felt most keenly by the paranormal community. Analytics Department report. Item. Sloth's Pit, Wisconsin, and NX-18 continues to operate according to the rules of narrative logic. NX-18's prime effect being effectively probabilistic in nature, the exploitation of tropes and literary devices consistently producing desired effects. This reduces Sloth's Pit to the status of an average Midwestern American town. Nexus occlusion measures continue in the expectation that 7000 will eventually be neutralized and this effect is reversed. Counseling provided by Site-87 staff to affected civilians and myth figures in the area. Item. Senior associate at Marshall Carter and Dark Limited was killed in a folding couch accident. Action. None taken. Folding couch accidents, though uncommon, do technically occur naturally. Item. Earthquake in Antarctica, the least earthquake-prone continent on Earth. Epicentral investigation uncovers a buried Chaos Insurgency firebase. All 53 personnel dead of asphyxiation. Action. Excavation for future use. Dr. Dan presented a brief to the O5 Council on the 16th of July. Excerpt begins. We have to do something about this. It's simply not sustainable. We've got butterflies causing super typhoons in the South China Sea, and we've got the asshole who decided that it would be a fun experiment in irons at Area 06. We got black cats, mirrors, and ladders changing the arcs of people's lives out there. I've had to task 2 AICs with sniping eBay auctions because I don't know if you know this, but everybody always labels everything rare on eBay, but suddenly everything is rare unless it should be. There are 15 auctions for pieces of toast with Jesus' face burned into them when I got up this morning, and only 3 of them were faked. Procurement and liquidation reports that every agent that goes to a garage sale now comes home with a handful of anomalies. Half the kittens in the world are being born polydactyl with 6 or more toes on each foot, and we're going to have to brainwash the entire scientific establishment into believing some bogus argument about atmospheric factors to explain it away. That, or put a lot of cats back into the bag, and the bag into one hell of a deep dark river. Quite the preamble. Was it worth wasting precious time you could have spent pressing us to a solution? Yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing about that preamble. Not everything I've just told you is strictly probabilistic. Polydactyly is an inheritable mutation. Rare items for sale, I'm not talking about Jesus bread here, have nothing to do with random chance. Probability doesn't make a valuable object. Man-made valuable objects start existing where they didn't exist before. And hen's teeth, that just doesn't happen at all outside of the lab. You didn't even mention hen's teeth. I haven't mentioned about 500 other things either. Okay, but what you're saying is this isn't actually a probability crisis. No, it definitely is that. It just isn't entirely that. Everyone who ate that potentially deadly blowfish, everyone who ate that potentially deadly blowfish yesterday lived, and everyone who ate it today died. Dice come up snake eyes today after 24 hours of natural 6s or 20s or whatever the max is. So many people are catching shiny Pokemon, and I could explain what that is thanks to my staff, but you probably shouldn't care. And we've had to knock out Nintendo's online services, every fan site, and a few Reddit communities just to avoid the word getting around. We've had to slot agents into every extant gambling commission to manipulate their numbers, or where possible, just close the casinos entirely on the pretext that it's too dangerous to operate them during COVID. Which it is, so that's lucky, meaning the disease will probably dry up tomorrow, and we'll need to find a new excuse. And it didn't even take in Vegas, so we had to go wackier still. Site 666 brokered a deal with the Under Vegas demons to run fixed games on the Strip to hide the fact that honest gambling, to the extent that such a thing even exists, straight up doesn't work anymore. There were, I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear, thrilled to help, but that's just a band-aid solution. So since you're going to absolutely hate my short but a little longer term fix, I need to make it perfectly clear that we're dealing with an extremely complex constellation of strictly probabilistic and superstitious luck effects, which we're calling one anomaly for the lack of a better explanation. All right, rip the band-aid off then. What's your terrible solution? Every probabilistic anomaly in the SCP database is either dead as a doornail. Also feel bad for the one guy. Oh, I know, right? Like, that person is gonna be, like... I don't even know what to say about this guy. Every probabilistic anomaly in the SCP database is either dead as a doornail or operating wildly outside of established perimeters as of right now. Every single one. That won't be the case when, with your permission, I update the SCP-7000 file to include Dr. William Wettle. Who is Dr. William Wettle? Did you say Wettle? That's a real name? He's a low-life lifer at Site 43. You've got very little reason to know who he is, but at this time he is potentially the most important employee we have. He is just self-identified as a serial loser, and experimental data backs it up. This guy literally cannot ever catch a break, which is sad, but what isn't sad is this. He is the only probabilistic anomaly still ticking over. You're certain? Absolutely. Do you know why? Absolutely not. We haven't had the time to study him. All we have is the data to go on and a hunch for my deputy, but that data is extensive. Wet Willie lacks the imagination to lie, and my deputy knows his shit. As of this moment, Dr. William Wettle is the only reliable probability factor on the entire planet Earth. Good Lord. And what could that do for us? On the face of it, not much. I mean, if he had good luck, then obviously we could use that, but bad luck? I mean, we could let him get corrupted by some group of interest or other and have him fuck them up with his good intentions, but that's a very limited utility in a very wide problem field. Yeah, let's not do that. If the guy is just plain unlucky, him personally, it's nothing better than a baseline for predictable probability. Obviously, you think it might be something more. I do indeed. There are two theories, Wettle's own and Dr. Sokolsky's. Here's what Wettle thinks. Bad luck clings to him like an ontokinetic cloud. The universe will take any opportunity to get a cheap shot in on him, and if he gets an overload, it can bleed into his surroundings and cause chaos. Now, this mostly fits with the observed facts. Dr. Sokolsky's hunch goes deeper, I presume? A lot deeper. Based on his initial interviews with Wettle's colleagues, he had the analytics department compare negative probability events from every facility since 7K started. Here's what they discovered. Site 43 is the luckiest place on Earth right now. They're still seeing random luck effects, but only good ones. So Sokolsky had them pull the older data, and while they're going over everything, it looks like it has been a general trend. Allowing for the occasional unavoidable cataclysm, Site 43 has always been one of the luckiest places on Earth. And I think that's because of Dr. Wettle. You don't think his bad luck wears off. You just think everybody else's wears off onto him. Precisely. And unavoidable, unpredictable bad luck is presently our biggest issue in dealing with the effects of 7000. We rush in to fix one problem and encounter 3 more on the way. Listen, I want to use Dr. Wettle as a stabilizing agent for our spot treatments. Put together a mobile task force, append him to it, and let them swoop in and save the day wherever necessary. Call it MTF something 7000, the Magnificent 7 or whatever. Not that. Yeah, definitely not that. Half of the Magnificent 7 die in the end. Listen, I'm just spitballing. Logistics can come up with something better. We'll use them for all high-value deployments where possible to ensure success. 6 expert super soldiers and 1 walking time bomb. Let him wander around, soaking up the bad karma, while our boys and girls get the job done regardless of probabilistic bullshit. I call it Operation Black Swan. It's nice to know that you had the time to name all these things, what with the world falling apart around us. Not giving them names would be unlucky, sir, and I'm operating out of the assumption that at some point, fortune is going to smile on us again. I have a theory about that too, but I'd rather it not go on the record at present. I don't want to jinx myself since, well, you know. I'll allow it. What's your theory? Dr. Dan's statement is redacted here. You can't be serious. Of course he can't. Ask him what's that slide he's been pointing at the entire time is. I'd assumed it was some sort of chaos theory heat map projection. I just assumed he was going to explain it eventually. Did I not? Sorry, it was my breakfast. A picture here of Dan's breakfast. 2 eggs, both with double yolks. Every egg in my house has 2 yolks now. The point is, this is going to affect every aspect of our lives before long, and that means I'm as serious as I've ever been in my life about potential solutions. I think we know enough to be getting on with. We'll put your Black Swan to a vote. I move to accept. All in favor? This is badly formatted for the dark mode, but yeah, we have yay, nay, abstained. Looks like of the O5 Council, 9 yay, 2 nays, 2 abstain. So the motion is accepted. I thank you for your time. You won't regret this. The success to failure ratio of that particular statement is presently up in the air like everything else. with respect, sir. Dr. Dan and Dr. Sokolsky immediately began preparations for Operation Black Swan as the probability collapse continued. Captain Andrea Adams assembled 5 of her top-performing agents to fill out the ranks of MTF Theta 7000, the Fortunate Sons, and began a rigorous training period. MTF Theta 7000 training with Weddle in the foreground as the fallen over legs. Oh no. Despite possessing advanced survival instructions as a consequence of his existing esoteric containment duties, Dr. Weddle scored significantly lower than the previous bottom percentile on all mobile task force training metrics. The acceleration of SCP-7000 phenomena nevertheless necessitated the denial of his repeated requests to be relieved of his new duty, as well as similar requests on his behalf by Captain Adams. More Analytics Department reports. Item: steady increase in the amount of chickens born with malophyodontic dentition. Hens with teeth. Action: creation of a thread on the conspiracy website parawatch.org suggesting that the phrase rare as hen's teeth refers not to a scientific impossibility, but instead a hereditary mutation which the proliferation of genetically modified organisms in modern farmscapes has reawakened. Theory saturates the globe due to predatory news aggregators within 1 week. Ouch. Wow. The fire this author brings. I love this author. He's bringing the fucking fire. Item: 3 Chaos Insurgency infiltrators captured attempting to gain access to Site-91. Step 22 out of 624 of their step compilation details an up-to-date schema of security patrols. One patrol's route, however, significantly delayed when all 5 officers discover pebbles in their footwear and stop to remove them, leading to a confrontation with no Foundation casualties. Action: patrols increased at all large containment facilities, resulting in 11 further captures and 6 terminations. Okay, so finally good things are happening. SCP-4040, namesake of Sloth's Pit, Wisconsin, transformed from a bottomless pit to a pit of variable depth. Action: as the only civilians aware of the pit's former nature are already residents of the Nexus, response limited to active monitoring at this time. Site 87 thaumaturges Dr. Catherine Sinclair and Dr. Montgomery Reynolds remain stationed at the pit with radio equipment and supplies for long-term occupancy. The bottomless pit of NX-18, view from the bottom. Despite the misgivings of his captain, Dr. Weddle was declared officially fit for combat on the 30th of July. Theta 7000 were deployed to attempt insertion into Firebase 5, a Chaos Insurgency facility uncovered via the accidental encoding of its location on a cognito-hazardous carrier wave directed at Site-01. No previous attempt had been made to exploit this information, as the SCP-7000 effect was expected to nullify the professional advantage Foundation agents enjoy over Chaos Insurgencies. It was therefore deemed the likeliest test case for Dr. Weddle as a field agent. Operation Black Swan's first mission took place on the 3rd of August. Transcripts: MTF Theta 7000, the Fortunate Sons. 7 agents, 7 individuals. Captain Andrea Adams, Dr. William Weddle, Agent Daria Ozols, Agent Brandon Bruce, Agent Songjin Han. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry to any Korean people. I'm so bad with Korean names. Agent Nastya Kozlova, Agent Murad Quiliev. We have Adams, Luck, Chico, Lee, O'Reilly, Britt, and Tanner in that order. Transcript begins. Adams: sound ready. 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 I don't want to be here. Ready. All ready. Drop. Rappel to the rooftops. Everyone lands without incident except Luck, who twists his ankle. Shit. Fuck. Breach. Breaching. Tanner sets an explosive on the roof as a cover behind an exterior air conditioning unit. Luck leans over onto Lee for support. Their helmets strike and Luck is momentarily dazed. Tanner: get down. Adams pulls Luck behind the air conditioner. Luck stumbles and falls, losing 1 combat boot as the breaching charges detonate. Get his damn boot on. Luck: I'll do it. Not taking that chance. Get his boot on. All set, kiddo. Piss off. Positions. 7000 take positions around the new ingress point. Clean cut. Good work. Thanks. A sudden crack appears at the edge of the aperture, and the portion of roof Luck is standing on collapses. He falls into the structure. Shit, did we lose Luck already? Move in. Move in now. Theta 7000 enter the facility via the aperture, which has not collapsed further. Lee finds Luck sprawled on top of a presumed Chaos Insurgent, who is now unconscious. Well, I guess your name means something after all. I don't want to do this. 7,000 are standing in an access corridor. There are red flashing lights and semi-spherical globes on the ceiling, illuminating 2 rows of doors, some open, some closed. Adams gestures, and the team begins cautiously checking each door. O'Reilly? On it. O'Reilly locates a wall panel, then pulls on various components till various wires are exposed. He retrieves an electronic multi-tool from his belt and carefully affixes the leads to it. Luck twists his other ankle as O'Reilly checks the readout. Jesus fuck! All cleared ahead, Cap. They had 3 different gas systems ready to go, if you can believe it. All of them are disabled now. Got a schematic for the traps ahead, too. How many? It's the CI, boss. Over 100 in the next few rooms alone. Listen, I've shut everything down that triggers remotely. Just watch your step and you should be fine. Alright, we're moving on, people. 7,000 proceeds down the hall at a brisk pace. Luck runs to catch up, falling flat on his face twice. The 3rd time he turns in midair, managing to land on his back. He is unable to right himself. Halt! Lee retrieves Luck as Adams bends to examine a metal strip embedded in the floor. Wired for current. How'd you miss that one, O'Reilly? Sorry, Cap, it wasn't on the schematic. Fucking CI. Good thing it wasn't active. I can't see. That's the end of the corridor. The door's ajar. Cover! They take cover at either side of the door. Luck crouches down behind Lee. Both microphones capture the sound of fabric tearing. God damn it. A series of gunshots ring out, striking the doorframe. The team is positioned such that no round finds its mark. Dazzle! Lee throws a flashbang grenade through the door. Heads down! Luck begins to sneeze. His head is raised when the grenade detonates. Ah! Forward! 7,000 enters the next room, a wide T-junction. Luck continues to scream and struggles to his feet. I can't fucking see! 7,000 subdue 5 insurgents in tactical gear with minimal expenditure of ammunition. Luck staggers along the wall behind them, occasionally walking directly into it with muffled curses. Where's the main breaker? Judging by the power draw profile, it's probably on a lower level. We gotta find some stairs. Luck walks directly through a door and directly into the waist-high railing of a wide, well-lit staircase. Oof! Luck pitches over the railing and falls. We lost him again. 7,000 rush into the stairwell, foregoing operational caution to retrieve the asset. Luck's belt is caught on a lower railing, and he is hanging with his pants half down. I don't want to be here! Get him loose. 7,000 explores the stairwell and attached hallways as Lee detaches Luck's belt. Luck falls to the floor. I want to go home. Is your home child-proofed? Suck my... Gunfire resumes. 7,000 takes defensive positions and return fire. Looks like 2 fire teams, Cap. Stuck in good. Which way's that breaker? O'Reilly checks his device, then scans the halls. He points. Take Luck and Lee. We'll hold them off. I don't... Shut the fuck up. Adams, Britt, Tanner, and Chico provide cover fire as O'Reilly, Lee, and Luck take the indicated door and rush along a new passage. The sound of gunfire recedes. O'Reilly notices a wall-mounted electrical panel. Here we go. He trips a series of circuit breakers. A distant groaning sound can be heard. Front door's opening. Send in the cavalry. They're jamming our signal. Damn it. Can't do jack from here. Ops outside might be able to crack the code, but there's a lot of Luck involved in those CI ciphers. Luck reaches into his helmet to scratch his nose, and he is unable to remove it again. Help! We've got a signal. Control, this is Adams. Send in the ASVs. Expect heavy resistance. We'll give cover. Adams, Britt, Tanner, and Chico advance on the insurgents. O'Reilly suddenly sneezes, removing his hand from the circuit breaker at the moment it begins to spark and catch flame. Luck, in attempting to remove his hand from his helmet, has lodged his index finger inside of one nostril. Well, that was a close call. Ceiling-mounted sprinklers briefly activate, then cease. There is a flash and a muffled explosion beneath their feet. What was that? Get back here, pronto. Lee and O'Reilly head back down the hall. Luck trips on a loose floor tile and stumbles through a plate glass office window. Oh, for fuck's! There's a loud crashing sound from the office in which Luck now occupies. Lee and O'Reilly rush to the broken window to see that the floor has caved in again and Luck is gone. Must have overloaded some system in the floor with the breaker blue. Lee jerks his thumb towards where the remainder of 7,000 are engaging the insurgents. That stairwell goes down at least one more level. O'Reilly sighs. The 2 agents return to the hall. Their teammates have pushed into an attached atrium and are trading fire with insurgents now boxed in by more agents advancing from the entrance. Gotta grab the albatross, boss. Give him a pat for me. Tell him he's a good boy. Britt, go with him. Britt, O'Reilly, and Lee cautiously head down the stairs to the bottom level, then proceed along the attached hallway until they reach a large storage facility. Luck is visible in the center, dazed, headed towards a door on the far wall. One insurgent is standing nearby, rifle trained on him. Shit! I got this. Britt advances into the room, taking cover behind wooden crates and steel shipping containers. As the insurgent raises his weapon to shoot Luck, Britt springs out of the shadows and slits his throat at the precise instant the door opens and a second insurgent agent, rifle at the ready. Bad luck. The roof collapses. The insurgent is struck by a piece of falling masonry, crushing his helmet and presumably his skull. Luck is covered in debris. Shit, Luck, are you alright? I hate Luck swallows his helmet microphone and begins to choke. Transcript ends. Oh, I love it. Aftermath. Firebase 5 was taken with minimal Foundation casualties. Dr. Weddle was treated for a broken collarbone. No other members of Theta 7000 sustained serious injury. Chaos Insurgency losses total 37 individuals incapacitated or killed, and one major supply and repair depot now under Foundation control. 7 stolen SCP objects, multiple vehicles employing paratechnical components, and 3 prisoners are recovered on site. Wow, what a situation. Analytics Department review of shoulder camera footage reveals the near absence of anomalous probability factors in the atrium firefight, suggesting Dr. Weddle did in fact absorb all of SCP-7000's effects over the course of the operation. In the interim between missions, SCP-7000 continues to take its toll. Item: 7 Chaos Insurgency infiltrators captured installing explosive devices at Site-120. All 7 attempted to destroy their step compilations before capture, but one was unable to do so, as his portable light was like a full combat slapstick routine. You're not wrong. As his portable lighter would not produce flame. Surviving step compilation carried the impression of handwriting, presumably from a note written on top of it on a separate sheet of paper. Reactive action. Handwriting decryption leads to the discovery of an insurgency safe house in Poland and the detention or neutralization of a cell of 23 individuals. Item: SCP-3856-1, the multiversal iteration of researcher Samuel Lloyd, residing in baseline reality, chokes on a ham sandwich and expires. Action: SCP Foundation placed on high alert for the imminent escalation of the present K-class scenario, ending with the termination of all life on Earth, the inevitable result of any universe's losses of its iteration of Researcher Lloyd. No changes in the scenario's course noted thus far. Item: 3 senior Mechanite priests, 1 for each of the primary faith, are killed in freak Murphy bed accidents. Action: per the Triumvirate Accords, expressions of sympathy made on behalf of Overwatch Command and funeral costs partially defrayed. Interesting. After a brief recuperative period, Dr. Weddle was cleared for active duty again, and Theta 7000 was officially commissioned. A series of missions over the following weeks served to mitigate the worst of SCP-7000's veil-threatening elements, though the search for a permanent solution remained ongoing. A digest of representative operations is appended below. Situation: attack on Deepwell Systems at Outpost 316 by the Serpent's Hand agents. Intervention: Theta 7000 repelled the attackers while technicians attempted to reverse thaumaturgical damage and corrupted code. Dr. Weddle supervised. Outcome: only minor difficulties encountered, operation declared successful. Dr. Weddle sustained a variety of minor injuries: 2 stubbed toes, a chipped tooth, a broken collarbone, 7 broken fingernails, and 2 herniated discs. On-site paramedical services returned him immediately to active duty. Due to recalcitrance on the part of Dr. Weddle, researcher LeBlanc was appended to the task force to conduct the assets debriefing. Partial transcript appended below. But I didn't do anything. They estimated the damaged code involved some 7 million independent variables. Each one of them was a minute but extant threat to the success of their repair process. You stopped them from going off. You saved a computer system carrying more information, and I didn't do anything. So they got me a handler? I prefer to think of myself as an agent. If you were my agent, I'd fire you. If you were my client, I'd get you fired. I know you would, kid. Excerpt ends. Situation: expert defusal of an improvised thermonuclear bomb in the free port of 3 Portlands by the Unusual Incidents Unit. Joint action with the SCP Foundation via the presence of Dr. Weddle. Exhausted from an earlier operation that same day, Dr. Weddle attended in his sleep via the provision of an army cot. Outcome: post-diffusal investigation revealed 3 separate anti-tampering measures on hair triggers which had not been tripped. Dr. Weddle swallowed 3 flies during the operation. UIU representatives and Dr. Dan agreed the technician would not be informed of this correlation. Debriefing, partial transcript appended below. Excerpt begins. I did what? Oh, you mean about the I mean about the bomb! Excerpt ends. Situation. O5 Council required escort to a classified location on the Asian subcontinent. Theta-7000 partnered with MTF Alpha-1, the Red Right Hand, to complete this pilgrimage. Outcome: success, with no operational complications. Per regulations, as an active anomaly, Dr. Weddle was kept as far distant from the council members as was feasible. Nevertheless, O5-1 encountered him in compromising positions on 3 separate occasions. Partial transcript appended below. I don't want to do that. I know you don't. The universe has something to say, Bastion, about whether my... The universe has something to say, Bastion, about whether my pants are up or down. It has a lot to say, Bastion, about whether my pants are up or down. Man, I'm really sorry. I can't do this anymore. I can't. Don't let them make me. Okay, I won't. I promise I won't. What? I won't let them make you. We'll miss the next appointment. Let them come get us if they want. What are they gonna do? Shoot a researcher and the goose that lays the golden egg? You get it? Bastion. Laying an egg is slang for men. You have one job. What is it? To kick my sorry ass in gear, so do it. Well, I guess that geese can bite. After you, Dr. Weddle. They spit too, so watch the fuck out. Situation. SCP-682 breached containment at Site 45 and approached the town of Augusta, Western Australia during a folk music festival. Intervention. Theta-7000 attempted to recapture the anomaly whilst evading the scrutiny of approximately 1,000 people, including media representatives. Outcome. Dr. Weddle was stationed between the operational zone and the festival. As containment efforts failed and SCP-682 approached, he was forced to move into the crowd. The anomaly was finally disabled within 100 meters of the event, an action nevertheless escaping civilian notice as their attention was currently fixed on Dr. Weddle's altercation with a rogue kangaroo. SCP-682 was returned to containment without incident, while the video footage of Dr. Weddle being kicked into an industrial barbecue immediately saturated the internet. Pat Idiot Gets Wrecked by Kangaroo is the name of this video. Debriefing. Partial transcript appended below. This isn't working. No, but it's helping. Dr. Weddle spits, though it does not escape his beard. He wipes his face with a lab coat sleeve. Helping. I'm making an all-time ass out of myself to prolong my own worst nightmare. You're a hero. I don't want to be a hero. You're named after William Wallace. Come on, Braveheart, one of the most famous heroes of all time. Where would he have gotten without sticking his neck out for others? Not famous enough, apparently. He got his neck stretched. Well, he did get a movie. A Mel Gibson movie? You call that luck? I don't. Look, I'm sure they have a backup plan. This will only go on for a little while longer. Why? What? Why are you sure they have a backup plan? When I said this wasn't working, I meant it wasn't working for me. It's working out just fine for them. William, they're gonna roll me up the hill and let me fall back down for the rest of my life like Sisyphus. You know that's true. For one thing, that myth is actually great. Perfect. Change the subject to what a hapless asshole I am. I hadn't heard about that for all of 1 hour. Wow, it's like Harry's right here with me. I bet we soaked up enough bad luck for 10 people just now. Hooray! I didn't mean... You're having fun writing these reports? Look, I've read them. Really tight phrasing their bass, dry comedy, but they got a real chuckle around the water coolers. But you wouldn't know anything about that, right? I never... You remember what I told you? When you said that you wanted to be my friend? Well, now I regret it. So fuck back off to 43 and tell them your next set of funny stories in person. Excerpt ends. At this time, Dr. Weddle advanced the theory that the SCP-7000 phenomenon was seasonal and that it would soon dissipate. Analytics department studies suggested this was unlikely. Dr. Weddle further theorized that SCP Foundation containment efforts might be responsible, as per the discredited allegations levied by various groups of interest during the 6500 crisis. This too was rejected. Whatever the cause, the actions of Theta-7000 did not appear to neutralize or recognizably worsen the anomaly, merely offsetting its most problematic consequences for the time being. More analytics. Item. Economics temporarily reflect... Hold on. Item. Economics temporarily reflective of actual reality. For a hot second, the market actually reflected reality. And this is so crazy that it is part of this anomaly. Actions. None taken, the market will correct itself. Wow. These are like the best part of this this whole article. Item. 2 Chaos Insurgency infiltrators evade capture after attempting to enter Site-79. Chief of Security had changed the daily password on a hunch. Action. 5 days later, Foundation personnel intercept an urgent call for medical aid from a townhouse on the outskirts of Yugemnu, discovering a cell of 12 insurgents violently ill with COVID-19. The agent who encountered the infiltrators at Site-79 had tested positive shortly after their escape. A series of step compilations found in the townhouse outline a grandiose series of sabotages and theft to be carried out at the Japanese facilities. On inspection, each is found to have been individually impractical due to unforeseeable on-the-ground exigencies. Item. Bulk theory of manifesting, popularized by Rhonda Byrne's The Secret with no basis in either science or parascience, becomes inexplicably efficacious. Action. None taken. Neither evidence, nor the lack thereof, have any apparent effect on individual belief in the technique's efficacy as the same as before 7000. Just fucking so brutal. On August 24th, an encoded transmission originating from the Chaos Insurgency's hardened mobile array was received by Overwatch Command at Site-01. Though deemed a low priority at the time due to the insurgency's vastly reduced profile in light of their recent heavy losses, the ensuing conversation did finally present one possible causal explanation for the scenario itself. Overwatch Command, 05 Council Minutes. Excerpt begins. Hazard screening, active and proactive. Very well. Let's hear what he has to say. A white silhouetted face appears on the screen, backlit by glowing Chaos Insurgency insignia. The engineer speaks. Time is almost up, friends. Do you have a response? To what? Time almost being up? Not as such. The message expunged. You have less than 1 hour to make your decision. Should I know what message you're talking about? Redacted. Because I'm afraid you have me at a disadvantage. The engineer pauses. The ultimatum we delivered you. Let me put you on hold for a moment. What game are you... Any idea what he's on about? We haven't received any messages from the insurgency in months. Not unless we're speaking metaphorically. I think he means it literally. Anybody else? No? Your misguided mission of containment, which you know to be disastrous... Sorry, were you still going? We cut you off there. Don't you know that we can't see your mouth? So, this is a little embarrassing, but we're pretty sure we never got any messages from you at all. Your vengeance has been particularly intermittent of late. Yeah, that always bothered me. The word is intermitted. Why even quote it if you're not going to do it right? You think this is a good time to stall when you have only minutes to spare? Please, we didn't receive any message. When did you send it? On the day of chaos, the 13th of July. Apropos. Have we any records of suppressed communications? Yes, 13 messages from IP addresses associated with known hackers. The file size and packaging was consistent with random cyber terror attacks originating from the Russian Federation, and as such the messages were scanned for viral content, returned positive results in each case, and were deleted unread. What? That's ridiculous. We chose the addresses at random. Oops. Oops. We'll send it again. Don't block us this time. I mean, you could just tell... Be like that. 2? Yes, we've received something. The IP addresses they're spoofing this time belong to a robocall center in Mumbai, and our antivirus systems return another false positive. I have examined the file personally, and it appears safe to view. So it's a video. I suppose we ought to. Holographic video screen in the center of the room flickers to life. The insignia of the Chaos Insurgency is displayed, and the engineer's voice begins to speak. What if the breath that kindles those grim fires, awaked, should blow them into sevenfold rage and plunge us into the skip? The video advances 10 seconds. Long struggle is at an end. The rotten paste of lies with the false foundation is composed will finally crumble, and all they have built atop will tumble down to dust. For the first time, the numbers are not on their side. For the first time, the red right hand holds all the cards. Speed it up. The video plays at double speed for the remainder of the speech, and an artifact image of a large machine appears on screen. The Kismet device now exercises total control over the course of fate athwart the globe. All mechanisms of chance and contingency will be irrevocably broken. The suffocating veil of the enemy will fall away, and the truth will be known. Preambles are always so damn long. There is, however, an alternative, a means of preserving the long night you have cast over mankind entire. Surrender your seats to the red right hand. Return your loyal soldiers to the fold. Become that which you were meant to be. Remember your great purpose and admit the righteous victory of the Chaos Insurgency. You will respond by midnight on August the 24th in the year of our Crusade 2022, or we will know the reason why, and you will know the meaning of misfortune. Hereafter, we of Delta Command and the engineer of the insurgency await your swift response. Capitulate, or be swept aside. Bullshit. The Kismet device looks suspiciously like the CMS muon detector of the Large Hadron Collider. What's their operational status versus us since the LK started? Estimate over 200 personnel dead, catastrophic loss of equipment and facilities, a complete disarray. Field victories? Not a one. They've escalated into open warfare in desperation, and our folks are their betters across the board. It's a foregone conclusion to the extent that those still exist this day. Well, I'm glad we didn't get this message on the 13th then. That was don't. I was going to say fortuitous. Still don't. But yes, if they're back in control of the situation, they've got a funny way of showing it. Should we call them back? Let's not. The engineer's explanation for SCP-7000 was filed for further study. Despite the apparent passing of the deadline presented in the ultimatum, however, the character of the LK scenario did not appear to change in the coming days. 7-year-old Stephanie Bellinger of Lyon, France, becomes world champion in chess, having begun playing for the first time just a couple months ago. She has never lost a single game. Action. Further investigation reveals that Bellinger is the grandchild of Data Expunged, encouraged to pursue the game at this time due to Data Expunged knowledge of the LK class event. Data Expunged was also responsible for moving the event up from its next planned occurrence to 2023 and his granddaughter's unorthodox inclusion on the roster. Due to Data Expunged seniority, matter has not been pursued further. Item. Predictive Predictive meteorology becomes ineffective beyond the existing alterations to atmospheric noise. Action, none taken. Change has escaped public notice at this time. It's so much fire. There's so many shots. So many people are catching strays out here. Item, Site 41 occupied by the Chaos Insurgency. The periodic and unpredictable amnestic effect plaguing all facility and personnel relating to the Anti-Memetics Division strikes the insurgents full force during their occupation. Disoriented, they exit the site and are immediately detained by guards stationed at their perimeter. Action. Foundation researchers repeatedly attempt to further weaponize this anomaly, but are immediately affected by the same condition in each case. Having been relieved from his post with Theta 7000 by Dr. Weddle, researcher LeBlanc began a personal investigation to the LK class scenario at this time. After consultation with Dr. Blank, he visited Dr. Weddle's elderly parents in their home at the Foundation-operated retirement village of Sunset Cove, Pensacola, in the American state of Florida on the 24th of August. Excerpt begins. Researcher LeBlanc is sitting in the living room of a single-story post-war ranch house with the Weddles. We have a nice picture of Mindy and Simon Weddle. Did you ever get the impression that your son was carrying some sort of burden? Well, of course, you know William, always thinking about others. LeBlanc laughs. Something funny? No, sorry, I was remembering something. Yes, go on. Like I said, he never spared a thought for himself. Spent all his time fussing over what could go wrong with other people and what he could do about it. What he had to do about it. He couldn't live with himself if something happened and he had passed up the chance to help. I think it started in his 20s. My brother died in 75, and no, Simon, it wasn't that. It started much, much earlier when I was sick. Sick? Lung cancer. They didn't expect me to make it. Willie was only 12 at the time. Oh, you're right. That's when it started. You'd stay up all night praying. He never struck me as a particularly religious guy. I don't think it was religious. I think... No. I can't quite get at it. The destination is there, of course, but the bridge is out. I don't remember any praying. I have some medicine with me to help you remember if you're interested. You mean Nestix? How do you... We take it the before back in... God, it was ages ago. They were checking up on William after some accident at work, asking if it could have been his fault, if he was reliable. They wanted to know everything about him. I think about those Nestix a lot when I can remember it. There's irony for you. Imagine how much good they could do in a place like this. One of our friends doesn't remember her own children. She remembers me because we go farther back than that, but I tried to tell her about the Nestix once, but I couldn't. The words wouldn't come. Is that something to do with where you work? Where William works? Yes, I'm sorry about that. And I'm sorry I can't tell you more, but that's not my secret to reveal, and Dr. Weddle wouldn't want to put you in any danger. In fact, I think this is all about that need to protect people you were talking about. He's trying to protect everyone. I don't even think he really knows what from. I can't ask him, but you can ask B, all right? For William, I'll do it, but you have to promise me something first. If I can. Oh, you can. Promise you'll tell him to think of himself from time to time? Well, yeah, yes. Yeah, I think I can manage that. Following his return to Site-43, researcher LeBlanc attempted to make contact with Dr. Weddle. The latter disregarded the former's entreaties and, at any event, was rarely present due to repeated deployments with Theta-7000. On the 26th of August, after his 68th operation with Theta-7000, by the way, 68 operations, it's the 26th of August, this whole thing started on like, the, 4th of August, where he got his first deployment? They're doing like 2, sometimes 3 operations a day. Weddle abandoned his post. He was recovered almost immediately by MTF Pi 43, garbage in, garbage out, having failed to either disable the tracking devices installed on his personal telephone or turn the device off entirely. He had recorded the following video during his brief period AWOL. So this is it. I'm putting my damn foot down. He shifts as though stamping his foot. His expression darkens. He looks down and back up in obvious irritation and disgust. You're probably gonna lobotomize me when you get this message. I get it. I don't blame you. Actually, let me Google lobotomies for a second. No, but what does it do, fuck shit app? Oh, come on. Can't find fucking anything these days. No, yeah, okay, apathy, that sounds nice. So when you do that, I'll get it. Maybe I'll be a funnier clown when I don't even give a shit that's happening to me. But I can't keep tripping on my dick so the universe can laugh. This can't be the rest of my life. He drops the device. Takes 2 attempts for him to pick it back up. It's not like I liked the way my life was going before. This is just more of the same. A lot more of the same. Replication studies straight out of hell. You know, when I joined up back in 98, the director told me something. Our world is filled with hidden terrors, okay, my memory is crap and I wasn't really listening, but it was something like stranger stuff than you could possibly imagine. He wanted me to know what I was getting into, and I told him it didn't matter. That the shit I'd seen was already strange in a real bad way, and I was looking forward to seeing the scary stuff, and you know what happened? He shakes his fist, his glasses falls off. He retrieves them. I found out that the scary stuff isn't always different from the stupid stuff. And I guess that makes sense. The scary stuff comes out of our fears, our everyday bullshit, and a little bit of everything in the world is already stupid. So would the scary stuff be any different? I just didn't expect all the weirdness I was seeing would be so fucking dumb. Everyone thinks it's funny what happens to me. It's not funny. And I guess I thought it would end when I joined up. I thought I could replace my bullshit with yours, but it all ended up in the same pot, and now that pot's filling up and it's coming over the edge, and I'm too old to learn how to mop. I don't know where this metaphor is going. I'm too old for a lot of things. They never get tired of reminding me. Dr. Weddle drops his device. He is able to retrieve it in only one attempt this time, though he is forced to bend over again in order to retrieve his glasses for a second time. Replication studies. The entire point is that once you know something's true, you can damn well stop repeating it, but this fucking shit show went on well past the point of scientific proof. I figured fate just wanted me to give up, you know, so I gave up, and then it got fucking worse, so what am I supposed to do? Wave at everybody as they pass me by? Wait up for them like I'm their goddamn mom and die the death of 1,000 stub toes for my trouble? Like, fucking fuck! I didn't even get to be the anomaly. I'm not even the main character in my own story. I put in my dues all this time. What's my big break? How do I get to save the day? A goddamn treadmill, a Buster Brown. Buster Brown, is that the... Doesn't matter. The point is, it isn't how I wanted to be remembered, but you don't get to decide that, do you? Everyone else does. And everybody else is an asshole. I'm 54 years old, and I've been a joke for I don't even know how long. Most of that time. And I'm done with it. I know it's selfish, but you're going to have to find some way to fix the shit that doesn't involve me. I'm going to do the only thing I can do. I'm going to end it all. He taps the screen and the view shifts rapidly. He has presumably placed the device in his pocket after unsuccessfully attempting to cease filming. The view returns suddenly to his face. Oh, okay, that came out wrong. I mean, I'm just going to run away. I just heard how that sounded in my head. All right, I'm just running away. For real now. Dr. Weddle's face is suddenly illuminated by bright lights. Footsteps can be heard approaching. Ah, shit. Dr. Weddle was remanded to the custody of the Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority, Dr. Dan requesting his transportation to Area 08C for debriefing. Dr. Dan and Dr. Weddle are standing in Foundation mission control. Technicians are monitoring all Foundation probes, stellar phenomena, and civilian satellites or space flights. Dr. Richard Bernard is overseeing operations from the rear. It's time you had a little perspective, I think. Take a wider view. Show, don't tell. Well spoken for a change. Bring her up. Her. Taiki, watching over us. That's 179. That's the satellite I was talking about. What the hell is that? The heavens, actually, though no doubt it's hot enough. Her name is Solsasor. She stands vigil over the stars, directs our attention to potential threats. Looks more like she's directing our attention to chaos undivided. What? Warhammer 40k, they got a wagon wheel logo? You don't care. Yeah, not really. But you're not the first person to look at this and think chaos. She normally has a lot fewer arms, and they're usually pointing in specific directions, or, well, you know, less specific ones. Most of my colleagues are convinced the LK has driven her batty, and she's just acting out of confusion. I'm guessing life is confusing isn't the big important life lesson you brought me here to learn? No, it's not. I do think her threat compass is on the fritz, but I don't think that's what we're seeing. I don't think this is her equivalent of a blue screen of death. Hey, did I ever tell you I'm the only guy at the office who can reliably get Windows 10 to blue screen to death? The point is, I think she's still trying to communicate something to us. Well, if it's the cardinal direction, someone ought to tell her we already know those. I think she's pantomiming the Wheel of Fortune. I'd like to buy an explanation. The Wheel of Fortune is a tarot card. It represents change, the alterations of one's situation, success, fate, luck. It's a reminder that there are intractable, implacable, impersonal forces constricting and constructing our destinies. Always seemed pretty personal to me. Good, that's a start. You're taking offense, which is the first step towards treating this as a conversation with the universe. So why not raise the tenor? Make it a positive conversation. I'm stuck in a loop of bullshit, Dan. If fortune is a wheel, I'm strapped to it, and it's spinning, and everybody is chucking knives at me. You think you're being punished by your own sudden usefulness? Yes, I do. I liked being useless. Useless people get left alone. You don't even know what that's like. I was in detention for 10 years. I know what it's like to be left alone. Well, I'd give anything to be a pariah. I'm just a laughingstock instead. You can't know what that's like. You wouldn't say that if you knew what was behind the black boxes. What? In my name? Oh, what's with that anyway? It's a gimmick. I was at Site 19 in the late 2000s. Everyone had him. Kondraki had his camera in his hat. Gerald drove the way You do everything else. And Clef had a shotgun. Clef had a shotgun. If they told me I could have had a shotgun, I wouldn't have just blackboxed my name. I bet it's something really dumb. What would it take for me to weasel it out of you? Outsmart me. Now drop this tangent. We were discussing your chronic inability to accept the attention of others. I've had enough attention for a lifetime. Just once I'd like to step on a rake without anybody around to point and giggle. I just as soon nobody ever looked in my direction again. Blanc and LeBlanc want to get fawned over. That's their business. Wait, those are two different people? Might as well not be from my perspective. Everybody else is charmed and I'm cursed. Still can't believe it. What? I swear to God, 2 months ago I actually said out loud it actually can't get any worse. Well, I don't mind telling you, this is the new status quo. We don't see any way out of it. You're going to be working with Theta-7000 for the foreseeable future, at least until we give up and drop the veil. Give it to me and I'll drop it in seconds. Conversation with the universe, remember, think bigger. The messenger of the cosmos is trying to send you, and I mean specifically you, a message. And that message is to seize the moment. You think she's doing hot yoga for me? Yeah, that's dumb. Who else would it be for? You're the only one in this event is singled out. Just you. Nobody on Earth has this distinction. Flare activity. Getting chromatic aberration. We're about to lose the feed from Discover 2. Back it off. We can't afford to lose another one. Wave goodbye, Dr. Weddle. She can't fucking see me. Still, it's only polite. Size of the main board as the connection deteriorates. Before the transmission cut off entirely, SCP-179 appears to return the gesture with all 8 arms. What the fuck? You trained her to do that. She's a lookout, not a watchdog. Still think you're nothing special? Even anecdotal space evidence is still just anecdotal. God, you really don't see it, do you? This is your debut on the world stage. You're making a positive change, not just you, but for everybody. For all we know, it's what you were always meant to do. It's your destiny. To fall on my face at the end of the world? Literally, yes. Metaphorically, you're rising to the occasion. You're the most important person in creation right now. Everybody knows your name. Great. Everybody knows that I peed myself to prevent an asteroid strike. I'll bet that makes me the toast of the town. You'd be surprised. People love an underdog. Sympathy leads to empathy, and empathy, well, that can lead to all sorts of complicated relationships. Haven't you been stuck in your simple rut long enough? Yeah, all the ladies love a man who gets kicked in the groin by a horse so another man can pull off a sweet slam dunk with a hand grenade. Exactly. They love sensitive men. You think I ought to try enjoying this? What's the worst that can happen? I'm allowed to say that now since the entire human race has lost their tempting fate privileges. Everyone except you. You think I should embrace this insane nonsense? You really think that? Think of it this way. Have you ever not been miserable? No. Have you ever tried? Maybe she's just doing a clock face. Clocks have 12-hour markers. She's only got 8 arms right now. Oh. Shit, she's a sundial, get it? Sundials are just clocks, buddy. Dr. Weddle agreed to return to duty with Theta-7000. Captain Adams reported he appeared calm and resigned to his station. Dr. Dan indicated to the O5 Council that his plan for neutralizing 7000 was now in motion. The LK class event, nevertheless, continued apace for the following 2 days. A 6-leaf clover. Item SCP-6263, an anomaly formerly triggering spelling and grammar mistakes in all attempts to point out spelling and grammar mistakes, resumes operation for precisely the amount of time required to precipitate, over the course of 3 days, the incarceration of outgoing United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson! Reactive action none taken. Woo! 3 rogue sharks discovered in Martha's Vineyard. Capture and release by SCPS vehicles disguised as American Coast Guard, an implementation of a cover story involving filming of the fictitious Jaws 5, return to Amity Island. Item. Tactical nuclear detonation detected over the unoccupied Auckland Islands, New Zealand. As no conventional launch was detected, Foundation personnel respond to the scene. They discovered the remains of the Chaos Insurgency's hardened mobile array burning in Carnley Harbor. Documents recovered from the site attest to an apparently lost stepped compilation culminating with a nuclear strike on Site-01. Though the state of the wreckage and unfamiliarity with the platform make precise determinations impossible, Foundation's engineers report the likeliest explanation for the apparent accident is a catastrophic launch bay door failure. Further forensic investigation reveals the presence of anomalous components suffused with chronons, antichronons, and tachyons, suggesting the engine itself may have been present on the array at the time of detonation. Action. In light of its recent loss of material and manpower, the Chaos Insurgency's activity class is reassessed from level 5 to level 2, falling below the Serpent's Hand, each sect of the Church of the Broken God, and Are We Cool Yet, among others, for the first time since their respective group of interest classification. Life sucks for the Chaos Insurgency. Frustrated with being stonewalled by Dr. Weddle, researcher LeBlanc confronted him in his quarters on the night of the 28th of August. I locked that damn door. Yeah, I figured you wanted to be alone, so I just hit a bunch of random numbers, and guess what? Huh, fuck. Yeah, that would work. So I've been talking to your parents. What? Why? Weddle sits up on the couch, banging both knees on the coffee table as he does so. The table collapses. Because you're stuck in a holding pattern, William, and I wouldn't be a very good friend if I left you there. I'm a gold medalist at that shitty Friend Olympics. You don't owe me anything. But why my parents specifically? While I was with Theta 7000, I got to see a lot of the SCP file. This is my whole life, has been since I don't know when. Well, if you don't know, I figured, I'm sorry you wasted a trip to fucking Florida of all places. That's what they call a double waste. It wasn't a waste. Look, put some clothes on. Aye. Because there's places in this site where the cameras don't see, but there's public corridors between here and there, and nobody wants to see that. No offense. How would I not take offense? Dr. Weddle and researcher LeBlanc exited the former's quarters and proceeded into the acroamotic abatement section, escaping the effective audiovisual range of the site's surveillance cameras. On returning to view, Dr. Weddle appeared distraught and agitated. He returned to his quarters alone, pacing for several hours before pushing a variety of random items off of his bed and lying down to sleep. Just after midnight, he began speaking to himself. Can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. It can't be. SCP-7000-1 is inconsequential and requires no containment. Exactly. Exactly. That's all there is to it. He's full of shit. Oh, he's right, isn't he? Well, what do you want me to say? I've learned my lesson? I'm overflowing with the milk of fucking human kindness here? Fuck you. Fuck you forever. You fucking hear me? A light fixture detaches from the ceiling and falls, shattering in a hail of sparks as it hits the bed frame. Yeah, you hear me. The bed sheets catch fire. Dr. Weddle reported for duty once more the following morning. Captain Adams reported that he seemed refreshed but also rueful, more than a little bit smug, and I don't know why. Updates will be appended as the situation develops. O5 Council credentials confirmed. The following pending updates to the 7000 file are classified overseer eyes only. As Dr. Dan had predicted, following his debriefing of Dr. Weddle at Area 8C, the SCP-7000 phenomenon gradually decreased in severity. Thorough Analytics Department canvassing returned the following new probabilistic effects on 29th of August. Item, none identified. Action, none required. The probabilistic anomalies returned to their prior functionality at staggered intervals over the course of the day. The narrative returned to NX-18, SCP-4040 regained its former depth, and SCP-179 demanifested 5 arms before resuming her normal routine of threat identification. The SCP Foundation has suffered 38 casualties over the course of the LK scenario. Of those killed as a result of the scenario itself, rather than direct enemy action, 36 have been posthumously identified as double agents for the Chaos Insurgency. The remaining 2 are under continued investigation. Despite significant global economic reshuffling, structural and material destruction, and immeasurable interpersonal catastrophe, all civilian deaths attributed to SCP-7000 appear to have involved individual moral failing or spectacularly poor decision-making processes. Cover-up operations, including smear campaigns against the present generation of mathematicians, fraudulent scientific discourse to account for unusual mutations and atmospheric effects, the creation of the non-existent Sagittaried meteor shower, fabrication of explanations for the total collapse of all future markets, and the containment of inexplicably resurrected deceased baseball player Lou Gehrig with his sudden appearance at Yankee Stadium explained away as an impersonation in bad taste. Will require extensive ongoing maintenance for the foreseeable future. Nevertheless, with the immediate crisis apparently over, Theta-7000 was placed on indefinite hiatus, and its members returned to their former stations. The Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority internally declared SCP-7000 tentatively neutralized and stood down from priority alert after the autopsy of SCP-3856-1. Researcher Samuel Lloyd revealed deviant Hume levels, indicating that he was not, in fact, the multiversal iteration belonging to baseline reality, which was therefore unlikely to collapse. I don't really know yet. We haven't, like, all of a sudden, like, we had an off-screen conversation, and now everything seems to be fine. So I imagine we're not done yet. It doesn't affect the multi-baseline reality, therefore unlikely to collapse. The correct iteration was subsequently located alive and in good health in a Chaos Insurgency safe house after a rash of surrenders and defections during said organization's general disarray in the wake of SCP-7000. Official pronouncement of the end of Operation Black Swan is scheduled for the 30th of August. Dr. Dan encountered Dr. Weddle at the Foundation-run food and drinks establishment Sam's Canadian Pub in Grand Bend, Ontario, near Site 43, on the evening of the 29th of August. Dr. Weddle is sitting at the bar, drinking from a bottle of beer. Most patrons are watching the television where a news report is detailing the sudden dispersal of 7 large storm systems around the globe. There's our willy-nilly, drowning your sorrows. My sorrows can swim. I bet they could drown me. Where'd you get that one from? Harry. He writes most of my lines. Seriously though, how are you holding up? I'm alright. I'm upright enough for a guy with a knife in his back. Look, no, I get it. I'm not mad. This is what you're known for, right? You're the guy who doesn't need to play a game of chess to see how it ends. You know how all the pieces move already? Everyone knows how the pieces move in chess. It's pretty basic. See? You didn't even miss a beat. That's Dr. Dan. So I suppose you figured it out then. No, I didn't. Of course I didn't. I never figured anything out in my life before the other day. Someone else figured it out for me, and then I figured out they were right. Goddamn replication studies all over again. Who's the someone? A friend. And what did your friend tell you? That this was all about me. From the start, it was all about me. I caused it. This was my crisis. Did he figure out why? He did. You don't mind if I gloat and exposit? I've had 3 beers. I don't mind much. Started with blank sweating. And your assistant's dating. Started a long damn time before that. Sure, fine, but it was the romance that set you off. It's a pretty chummy crowd at 43. It hasn't changed that much while you've been there, but now they're all pulling away from you and you lost your shit. I wanted to make something of myself. I wanted to be someone. I wanted a wife, until you thought you were putting her in danger. And I wanted a family, until you thought your bad luck was contagious. And in the end, I just wanted everything to stay the same. I couldn't even have that. So yeah, I lost my shit. I really thought my life would turn around at some point. Thought it for 20 damn years. Listen, everyone says I'm slow, but I guess 20 years is my minimum speed. You decided you were done. You gave up. You were never going to be popular. You were never going to be noticed. So you let the universe win. But the universe wasn't done playing. Well, you tried to be content with nothing, so your anomaly made you the single, most important, invaluable, famous person in the Foundation in precisely the worst possible way. Just because it wasn't what you wanted. Uh-huh. SCP-7000 happened because of you. I don't even want to know what the body count was. Universally, assholes are idiots as far as the AD can tell, and a whole lot of people got a violent wake-up call they won't soon forget. They got a second chance to chart their course in life because of you, indirectly. But that's the key word, right? Indirectly. It's not your fault. It's not like you ever had control over what's happening. Like everything else in your life, it just sort of happened to you. And as soon as you decided you kind of liked it after our little pep talk, the corner turned again. You're not allowed to enjoy anything that much, right? So it took back everything I gave. Turned you back into nothing. No offense. Nothing is one of the nicest things anyone's called me, but yeah, sure, that's a sensible explanation. I'm pretty pleased with it. You single-handedly tricked me into ending a K-class scenario. It's what I do. You didn't, though. Because you're wrong. Pardon? A long time ago, I made a pact with the universe. To live a sucky life, but not too sucky. And then I forgot. And then I broke it. And this was the revenge. What are you talking about? Exit resumes 15 minutes after Class X Nestic application. Oh, this is the remainder of the excerpt with the family, okay? I remember it like it was happening right now in front of me. It was in our old house on Stockwell Row back in Peoria. I was going to bed. I'd been smoking in the garage. Simon was already asleep. I thought William would be too, but just as I was walking past his room, I heard him whispering to himself. And you remember what he said? I can hear it. He's saying, take anything else you want. Take all my stuff. Take all my friends. Take all my chances. Take everything good and keep it. Just don't take my mom. Don't hurt my parents. Hurt me instead. For as long as you want, I can take it, I promise. Please. Jesus. It's just a boy. Shouldn't have had to go through that. I never smoked again. Turns out I was talking to the universe a long time before I met you. I told it to use me as a punching bag, and then I went to sleep. You ever remember those late night thoughts the next day? I certainly don't. So what, you're a two-time reality bender? You prayed to the ceiling and Fortuna heard you? Something heard me, and it took me up on the offer. And it got good value for the next few decades, and then, well, you got one thing right. Everyone else was moving on and up except me. Everyone else had change in their life. I wanted that. I needed that. And on some new unmemorable night, half drunk, lying on my couch in my dorm in my underwear, I asked for it out loud. I didn't even remember until my friend thought to check the security feed. Let me get this straight. You think you caused your own luck anomaly, and you think you made it worse by breaking the terms, and then what? Deciding you liked it wouldn't fix that problem. No, sorry, buddy. You're talking to the guy who beat the no luck scenario. Because I decided I didn't like it. I didn't like being important at everyone else's expense. You should try introspection sometime. I'm new to it and it's a rush. So I did something about it. Because it turns out I might be fat and dumb and slow and a magnet for other people's bullshit, but I am not helpless. Wait. I thought this was all happening to me, right? I thought I was stuck. But it was me all along. My life might be fucked up, but it's my life. I'm in control. I set the terms. I just never knew it until now. Weddle, are you saying you intentionally set things back to normal? Made your deal with the devil again? You spoke to the ceiling and the ceiling answered? Pretty much. Well, look, your speech did help, though. It's a bit too flowery, but the sentiment was nice. Have you grasped the full implications of this yet? A lot of things, I guess. What's on your mind? You. Dr. William Weddle destroyed the Chaos Insurgency. Every clown has its day. You're back to mixing metaphors. Yeah, well, that's one of the perils of writing your own script. Hey, wait, there's another implication, too. Which is what? I outsmarted you. Well, what? Well, what's behind the black boxes? You prompt inaudible. Huh? I can't hear. Daniels! Daniels? Yeah. Dr. Dan Daniels? Yeah. Dr. Daniel Daniels? Yes. Go on, have your guffaw. Dr. William Weddle. Told them you were more than just a gimmick, you know. I wasn't wrong about everything. So you're gonna reclassify 7000? Neutralize? You know what? I think I have a better idea. Yeah, you shit, I bet you do. How you losers doing? Sore. Who's buying? Flip you for it? Dr. Dan presented a brief on the future of the 7000 file to O5 Council the next day. So here's what I think. We do that, we reclassify the LK scenario as 7000-D, and the invisible powers should be happy. You're absolutely certain these are the explanations you want on record? Definitely. Takes all the credit away from Weddle, which ought to satisfy the flagellistic urges of this anomaly, and it's not like the CI are in any position to argue. If I'm right, minus one very embarrassing incident recently, I always am, we should never have to go through this ridiculous rigmarole again. It all makes a certain hideous kind of sense. I understand the -D proposal, but I'm interested to hear your rationale for the new 7000 file. You don't think the risk's tipping the balance back in his favor, causing another crisis? No, I think the loss of prestige ought to counterbalance it. I've run the whole thing past the analytics department, they concur. Still, why do it at all? He was never that important, never will be again. I think we owe it to him, don't you? For being such a good sport. Once again, I move we accept in toto. Sound off? 11 in favor, 2 abstain. It's been decided. Weddle will go along with this freely. He'll be happy enough. After all, he had a hand in it. Did you see the new file photo for 7000? Excerpt ends. Per Dr. Dan's request, the SCP-7000 file will be forked into 2 new database entries. Bare bones drafts are present below for review. 7000-D, decommissioned containment class. Special containment procedures. The remains of SCP-7000-D-1 are undergoing investigation at Site-19. No further containment measures are necessary. 7000-D was a progressive probability failure on the planet Earth during July and August of 2022, precipitated by an ontokinetic eigenweapon known as the Kismet device. The device was destroyed by SCP Foundation via tactical nuclear deployment. See Operation Nelson's Revenge for further details. As the effect of the probability failures have subsequently receded, it is presumed that the device's ongoing intervention in baseline reality was required to sustain it. Contact the Analytics Department for full accounting of known and suspected SCP-7000-D effects and occurrences. And the second file, SCP-7000 Containment Class Euclid, Secondary Class Mehmet, Level 3 Disruption Class, Level 2 Risk Class. Timed photography by subject, hence why it's a terrible picture. SCP-7000 is responsible for its own containment. No experimentation involving this anomaly is authorized without the explicit consent of the Emergent Tactical Threat Response Authority or SCP-7000 itself. There is no relationship between SCP-7000 and SCP-7000-D. Description: SCP-7000 is a probability sink concentrating local misfortune on its own person. Dr. William Wallace Weddle, Deputy Chair of Replication Studies at Site-43. So, our man did a thing that many of us have done before. Promised the whole world that they can take its... like, calling on probability to fuck with them instead of fucking with someone else. To save them. This worked. His mother lived. But he forgot that he had done this. And later on in his life, after his life went nowhere because he was a nobody because of the effect of making this promise and the universe taking its toll from him, he got frustrated with it, decided he wanted to take it back, said out loud that he wanted to be better. This broke the effect, causing a breakdown of probabilistic events in the world until he re-upped his decision to continue being the historic punching bag of the world. And as soon as he re-upped his agreement, it was suddenly no longer a problem. A crazy story. There was so much here. I mean, first of all, it was funny. There was so much humor in here. There's also just a lot of heart. Not just in the final moment too, like you know, a lot of stories have their heart or like all their emotional sort of punch all in one moment, and there was a big single, you know, punch, but this story had a lot of heart all the way through. There were a number of people who were, you know, like this guy had to like basically become the laughingstock of the world and take a lot of physical pain, you know, in trying to combat this problem, and there were people out there trying to reach out to him. It was a combination of a really interesting character with an interesting backstory associated with it, a great reveal. I can definitely see why it won the 7000 slot.